Hi, everybody. So, Kelly and I are here together today, and we're very excited because we're going to talk about the new moon and the energies for me because we've come through the portal and we're in the fifth density and in the fifth dimension now. They've gotten more calmed down. Some of us are having big things go on in our bodies or with our soul, like we're getting big downloads, big fractals. Um, we're really accelerating right now. And I'm really excited to hear what Kelly has to say about the energies that are coming in. Hi,
Okay.
Kelly.
Hi.
Hi. How you
Yeah.
doing?
Okay. I'm feeling those fractals. I'm feeling the new energy. I'm moving in a different way. We're inhabiting our bodies in a different way with different energy.
Mhm.
So, that's been part of especially this um last 2 weeks since the full moon, that had such change dynamic, and we've been incorporating that for and we get a new moon on Monday the 26th.
Okay.
For so many people, even many people, it's on the 27th. So we're into the sun sign Gemini now. So we're out of the Taurus embodiment sign, and we're really needing to feel how that change is affecting our grounding. And like what I just said about my experience and the way I'm moving,
Mhm.
because we're at getting to the last bit of the planet Uranus in Taurus, and it's going to change sign in a couple of months, but we got a couple of things to talk about before that. Um, and this new moon is part of that. So let me take some screen sharing here
Okay.
and show you the Gemini new moon. So this is, a reset for our experience in the with the moon cycle. Every month we get the new moon, and we are moving into. It's going to feel very different. And it already, yes, it's feeling very different already. And so the Gemini, it's the twins. That's why I have that wonderful picture I love that my friend took of dancers years ago. I just love this image.
Mhm.
And it's like twins, the twins. And it's the twins of ourself too. And we can look at the masculine, feminine. We can look at our higher self and our lower self and our higher mind and our lower mind, which Gemini is very much about because it is an air sign. It's a mental sign. It's a cognitive sign. So it's how we're thinking about things. And that's one of the things to really be paying attention to, how you're talking to yourself. It's really important to be vigilant about the words you're using, which have to do with the vibe you're sending.
Mhm.
So we need to change how we're thinking, or get some new thought patterning, some new mental frameworks to, well, I'm not even sure we want frameworks at the moment because we're in a discovery phase here. So the new moon in Gemini is also has Mercury right next to it, which rules Gemini. Mercury is the messenger of the gods and is the ruler of Gemini. So this strengthens this whole vibe about cognitive, about how we're thinking about things, about what perception we have. We see differently out of our right eye and our left eye.
Mhm.
And that's why it's important to be fostering the opening of our third eye, that can harmonize that. So it's also about allowing, and I want to point out here that the planet Uranus, which is the higher mind consciousness, is, right next to the new moon, but it hasn't changed sign yet. It's going into Gemini in July. So this is the new moon where we can start getting set up in terms of how we are thinking about our lives and about what's going on. This new moon is full of information. Now, this
Mhm.
also, the new moon is a new batch of information because it says that we've already gotten quite a lot of information out there, and we have, we're doing this on a Thursday. So we have a few days to go before we get to the new moon and the new information packets coming down. So there's more to come. And also, this is the area of the sky right where Taurus and Gemini meet. That is where the sun is in front of the Pleiades, the seven sisters, which is a very close um, um, celestial energy to our solar system. And there's so many stories about the star beings from the Pleiades, and so many of us have Pleiadian heritage, and this is the time where it really comes out. And it's, we know them in Greek mythology as the seven sisters, and they're generally considered feminine. And so this is to do with the feminine consciousness and the values that we bring in. So, and this is where the information can be beaming from also. So that this is part of the new moon. And I haven't shared the Sabian symbols in a while, but I liked the one for this new moon, which these are symbols based on the degree of the zodiac. The 360 degrees of the zodiac each have an image that sort of convey some of the meaning. And this new moon is at 6 plus, which makes it in the seventh degree, which images an old fashioned well with the purest and coldest of waters. What does that bring up for you, honey?
Well, to me right now, it's like we're going to get to know more about who we are. So that's really important. I feel like some of the information that's going to come out is going to be things that we didn't expect to come out quite yet. And they won't be the things that we've been seeing. So
Mm,
maybe it's going to be more about history, some things that have been hidden. Maybe it'll
mhm.
be more about the underground. But
Yes.
yeah, there's things that are, it's time for these things to come out. And I love astrology because it's giving us a picture and the planets. So those players up there in this game are saying, okay, these are the energies that are coming next, and we're going to show them to you.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm.
the moon cycles are the earth cycles. So to me,
Mm.
the earth has been going through a lot over the last several days. And a lot of the water stuff is
Water.
actually cleansing.
Yeah. Yes,
He's
absolutely.
been cleansing. Yeah.
Yes. So I think part of what this means is several things, is that it's not only the old-fashioned well, it's ancient wells
Mhm.
where some of the purest and coldest water is. And they give rise to, some springs. But also it can be beneath the sea. And I'm going to talk in a moment about why I'm one couple of reasons why I'm looking at beneath the sea at the in the deepest waters.
Right.
So there's a lot of information coming out, and it is from different sources. There are a lot of different sources. There are lots of different wells, and one of those sources is within yourself. So it's like dowsing down to some deep place in yourself where you're tapping into, some deep knowledge that you are in touch with and haven't sort of brought it up to drink yet from that well. But this is like bubbling up. This is information that can be bubbling up from somewhere deep inside of you and your history as well. So this is, also, talking about the fractals and the different pieces. Gemini is like gathers all the pieces of the puzzle. and then has to put them together. And some of the pieces you won't want anymore. Some of the pieces like, okay, that piece doesn't belong in my new puzzle because there's some new stuff going on here. So let me go on to the next slide. So here's one of the strongest players in this new moon is the planet Jupiter, which is not really near the new moon. It's going to be closer to the full moon in 2 weeks. But Jupiter has been in Gemini for almost a year, and it is lots of information coming out. Doesn't it feel like it's been a bit overwhelming?
Mhm.
So uh, some of these new things that we've never heard, like we hardly get a chance to think about it, and there's more because Jupiter is like that. It brings out more, it amplifies, it expands. So there's a lot coming out here. And yes, it does tap in to our collective destiny and our collective memory. We have the nodes of the moon, which are where the path of the moon crosses the path of the sun and shows eclipse points. This is not an eclipse, but what it's doing is it's activating the turning point places in the sky that have to do with where we've been, the south node, what is coming in to this moment to take it to another understanding or another level. And this is the dragon tail or the south node in Virgo, which is about earth energy. It's about nature. Nature is reminding us. Our bodies are reminding us of where we've been, of their intelligence, of how we are so intimately connected and a part of nature.
Mhm.
So this is, and also some skills, because Virgo has really good skill sets, likes to be really good at what it does. And sometimes there's so many things, but this can be saying there's something that you hold, this knowledge, some wisdom that you might be reminded of through something going on in your life that's coming into play. And what we want to do is take it to the North Node, and which is in Pisces, the water. And we've had so much Pisces this year already, but this is changing. We're moving from the water to the fire. And so we're working with the water energy here as well in a way of understanding where we are in the collective and the Pisces compassion and forgiveness, of ourselves and others for not being perfect, for whatever the past has been. Let's take it forward. We're sailing into new seas. We're diving into deep waters. We're drinking the freshest and purest waters. And that's part of what we're being called to recognize the level of purity and clarity. So this is a turning point moon in our collective understanding of things, with being open-minded to like new information. It's so important to consider options and new ideas that you've never entertained before.
Mhm.
And that is helping open this door to newness, which is where we're going next, to newness. Oh no. First of all, I wanted to share this. I wanted to share that Mars, this is fire, and Venus, fire, are both in a very nice alignment, which I mentioned last time on the full moon, because this alignment was going on then and it's still going on, which is emotional harmony within ourselves that has the fire and the creativity and the verve. And if we're healing whatever has been holding us back. Venus, especially the divine feminine, here we are, in the range of the Pleiades. There's this divine feminine healing energy that's coming forward and really inspiring us to try new and different things. And that theme keeps on unfolding. This is, we've got Venus in Aries for this new moon and for the first 2 weeks of the full moon, maybe 1 week. But anyway, this is newness. This is like, I'm just getting a little bored here. Got to try something different. Got to take a little trip, just like spontaneity, and Gemini can be very spontaneous. It's like, okay, instant response to whatever's going on in the moment. So that's very different than having a plan in a way. And this too is like, yeah, something new and different sounds good to me because that's going to break up some of the old stuff that is just dragging us down, to a certain extent. And it can also, it's the inspiration of fire that can also kind of burn off the old stuff, get us going like that fire inside. So
Yeah.
this is a lot of emotional harmony. Um, and here's more. There's more fire. This is the biggest change going on this month is Saturn moving into Aries. It's just moved into Aries a couple of days before this new moon. Now, Saturn takes 29 or so years to go around the sun and through all the signs. So it hasn't been in Aries for that long. And here it is in Aries, the new sign. And it's just gone into Aries across that line, that significant line from the last sign of the zodiac into the first sign of the zodiac.
Hmm.
That's where Neptune just went. Neptune crossed that same line at the end of March. And in March and April, we had Mercury and Venus circling that point between the old and the new. And now Saturn's going in, and Saturn's saying, okay, folks, you're there now. You're in the new. Go there. Lean in. You know, it's
Hmm.
it's we're flying a new flag. We're going places. So it's time, says Saturn, because Saturn's a lot about time. It's a lot about like what's happening, in your life. It's circumstances and situations, and this is like something new going on. Are you feeling that?
Yeah. And one thing that hits me is Saturn is more structured,
Yeah, typically.
so as a being, it's a more structured thing. And also, it's been carrying the pain of those rings for a long time.
Oh.
So
Hmm.
that is it with Aries. So as it comes into Aries, we're in Aquarius, like we're in this age of Aquarius. And what does Aries do? Aries is very honest to the point of being painfully honest and very straightforward and very righteous and very sovereign. So Aries is a really amazing sign, especially with the good parts, and very pushy as well. So, and I'm a Capricorn. So Aries, and they say you're either going to get along with Aries and it's going to be okay. You're going to surrender to the relationship, or you're going to be like this.
Mm.
And I see Saturn as more of a Capricorn structured sign.
It rules Capricorn.
Yeah.
Yes.
So to me, it's like, well, they're coming together. And the Aries in my life, I've just loved them because they've been so honest, even if you don't want to hear it. If you're not ready to hear it, they will tell you anyway. And it's time for that now. It's time
Yeah.
for us to be honest, not only with the outside world, but with ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're also fire. Another fire sign is Sagittarius, which is all very much like that, about
Mhm.
telling the truth. And if we're looking at the pattern with Jupiter and the nodes of the moon, it makes a three-cornered situation. And the fourth corner is Sagittarius. So there's a lot of energy moving toward that fire to complete all of the fire signs, to be with that honesty, and with the Saturn's like drawing the line. I would accommodate you if I could, but I can't. I got to do my thing, got to be me. I'm standing in my center. I'm
Mhm.
being very clear with myself. And this is what we're this is the big lesson now. Saturn is like what we're dealing with, what our lesson is. And for the last 2.5 years, it's been in Pisces, which is, the compassion and, the healing and the feeling responsible. And Saturn says, okay, pretty much done with that. Now it is
Yeah.
going to go back there for a few months at the end of the year, just to, let more water go under the bridge, which we find out when, okay, we're here now. And it's like, uh-oh, I've still got this old thing I gotta, kind of, wash off kind of thing. But
Mm-hmm.
this is clear, crisp, clean. This is the like new developments. And it's obvious in the situations that we're each facing and also the global situation. This is the turning point of this collective destiny and of being in a new place, exploring a new place, having to kind of step up. And it's the thing that makes it even more magical and a little bit challenging is that it's with Neptune. The Saturn Neptune combination only happens every 40 or something years. And this is Saturn wants to manifest whatever that dream is. Neptune
Mm.
is like the big dream, it's our collective imagination.
Yeah, because
And
it's water.
so it changed at the end of March, and it's also going to go back for a little bit into Pisces. And we're not like out of the woods yet or out of the deep waters yet, but we are definitely moving forward to see where we're at, the new trail. This is pioneering. This is something very new and different.
Mm-hmm.
And what is the vision that is moving us forward? And we don't want to look back right now. We want to be moving forward. When a boat is going, especially like a motorboat, you can see the wake of the boat go behind, but let it go. Keep your destination in mind. Keep looking at what's ahead and what your dream is, your vision is. And this
Mm-hmm.
is a new vision. This any dreams you've had about your life. This is new. And it's new for all of us. So this is part of the universal energy of Neptune, and it's going to be in Aries for the next 14 years. And Neptune takes 165 years to go around the sun and through all the zodiac signs. So Neptune hasn't been in Aries for, about 160 years or so. So this is very brand new for us to be experiencing at this point. And again, it's like a fresh start. It's like a new trail is opening up.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are going to feel like bushwhackers. Some people are, this is the way showers. This is the like those who have been ahead of the curve can show us the way.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Saturn saying, okay, we're doing this now. We're doing the new thing. Get crisper and clearer on your vision and hold that vision and work with your mind to make it, to work with how you're thinking about it so that you're not discouraged, you're not holding you back, you're not focusing on the resistance. It's like Saturn's giving a bit of a push. It's like you said, Aries can be very pushy. And it's saying, come on, move forward. So this moon is bringing that in, and we've got to be open with all that Gemini, open-minded to try something new and different because we can't go back.
Right. Can't go back.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
that would be like reattaching your umbilical cord and going back into the womb. Like it's not happening.
mm, yeah.
So we have to build the new, and we have to be willing to let all the old stuff implode. Yeah.
hmm Yeah. Yeah. Also, we have a series right there, and she has to do this is Earth Mother Gaia energy. And Earth Mother Gaia, she's on to the new. We better keep up with her.
Hmm. She is. She's there. And she's
Yeah.
been waiting for this point for a long time because Earth has been in ascension she's been in fifth density for longer than we've recognized,
Hmm.
and we've been carrying old energy and old dimensional energy for a long time. And we've finally come into the fifth dimension as a collective. That doesn't mean everybody knows that they're in it.
Right.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
they're manifesting really fast.
It's
And
interesting how encounters with people who I've known for a really long time are shifting a bit.
yeah,
um, like meeting them all over again, but I know you. It's I don't know how to explain it exactly, but there's this freshness, this newness, especially after, the whole thing we've been through the last number of years. This energy is really helping us kind of surface from all of that
yeah.
and with fresh eyes. So,
hmm
so there's
I love
that.
it. It's so
Yeah.
time. We've been waiting for this time for so long, and now we're finally in it. So really
Mm,
enjoy it. If even if it's discombobulating, enjoy it because we finally
that's
arrived.
it.
Yeah,
Joy. Joy is a healer.
yeah,
Venus is about joy and pleasure and the good things in life and doing what you love doing and finding happiness.
hmm
And with Chiron, this is the healing energy right now. Do something fun for yourself. If you start getting dismayed, just like, you know, go smell some flowers or plant some. That's what I did yesterday. Yeah, so I got all over distracted. Oh my goodness. And I ended up transplanting some flowers and making some flower baskets. And that was
hmm
like, kind of the height of my day in some ways.
yeah.
So there's that. What else did I want to show you? So that this is big. Saturn changing sign is big. And it's the start of the zodiac. I want to emphasize that. And Neptune's there too. And Ceres is there too. So this is are we dreaming the earth or is the earth dreaming us? It's a little bit of a dialogue going on, especially in the sign of Gemini. So,
Co-creation.
um, okay. So now Sedna. So another new thing going on here, and this full moon, this new moon is very engaged in with Sedna. Now, Sedna is one of the things I think it was discovered in 2005, and it's like takes 11 or 12,000 years to go around the sun. So this is a very long cycle, and sometimes it's farther out, but it's coming closer to our solar system, closer into the Earth, and it's just changed into Gemini in the last year or so. So it's right with Mercury. So here's where some of the new information is coming from. And Sedna is the Inuit goddess who lives at the bottom of the Arctic Sea. So this brings us back to the deep waters. And they say in the deepest of the waters below the ocean bottom, there are pristine waters that
Yeah.
we have not been tapped into. And what else is down there? What else is down there? So here's some images because they speak. So Sedna, she was discovered in 2003. And because of this Inuit myth, she has a very traumatic history in certain ways. I don't want to tell the whole story, but she's like Pluto in some ways because Pluto is the dark underworld journey. And it's like Sedna is the dark, deep sea journey where we dive really deep and she gets transformed. Her body parts turn into sea creatures. So there's a very deep transformative energy in her embodiment, which is kind of what we're doing right now. There's new energies coming in, new frequencies coming in, and they're very deep. It's like whale song.
hmm
It's like, the dolphins. It's like communicating at that level through the water. And water is full of information. Water is full of memory. And these are those deepest and coldest waters of the
Yeah.
ocean. So this is has a lot of redemption to it, but it's also this dismemberment process. Like there's a lot of that in the shamanic tradition. And we are being, all our body parts are like being taken out, cleansed, and put back in, kind of thing, that it can feel like that. And um, so it's just went into Gemini in the last couple of years to bring a new cycle and a new awareness to us. And since it was just recently discovered too. So here are some of the themes, about marine biology and what is actually going on, beneath the surface of the waters. And are there really mermaids and mermen living down there? Like, what about those deep sea creatures? Are there some we have not discovered yet? Is there mineral richness? What is down there? So, and it can feel like a downward spiral that we are not in control of. So this is part of, if we turn to the surface for a moment and consider that it's in Gemini, this is all the new information coming out about, like you were suggesting, our history, our where we've been, our cosmic connections. This is
Mhm.
about what's hidden down there. There's so many discoveries coming up about, kind of buried, drowned cities, and it's just a huge, amazing moment here. And Sedna is part of what's uncovering that. And it's in in part to regenerate from all the trauma we have experienced. This is
Yeah.
part of what the meaning of Sedna is. And to remember instead of dismember. So it's because it's has such a long cycle, it has to do with really large, large cycles. Like we know, we've just moved into a new era, a
Mhm.
new yuga, the Kali Yuga, the darkest, darkest of the times is ending. We're surfacing from that, and the light is coming back. And when Uranus, and we'll talk about this more significantly in July, when Uranus goes into Gemini and joins Sedna for the first time in a while. They were conjunct. Um, well, never mind. Oh, these such big cycles we're talking about here. So this is going to be this awakening of this Sedna energy coming up this year and into next year in ways that are going to really blow our minds. And that's a good way to say what the meaning of this moon is, because there's so much new information coming out. It's like somebody just threw the puzzle into the air. And some of the pieces are getting lost, and some of them are new pieces, and it's just going to blow our minds. Some of this stuff is just like, whoa, can you believe it? And it's like, there's the evidence. So yeah, so something like that. Um, so
Wow.
here, these are a couple of the astrologers that have done a lot of pioneering work with Sedna. Barbara Shermer did a lot of work early on and made this mask to do a performance of Sedna. Um, she says this represents a new and powerful voice calling us to a balanced and sustainable relationship with nature. And Alan Clay also wrote, this is a very thick book, and he calls Sedna consciousness the soul's path of destiny, in part because it's so deep and it goes back so far, and it's, very far away. Discover the evolutionary spiritual power of Sedna, the new esoteric outer limits of our solar system, although there's something farther out now. We're always going to go farther. Profound implications for society and each of us individually in the coming years as Sedna is coming closer and closer to the earth.
Mhm.
So this is very meaningful. And here are some images from the Inuit people themselves, one older carving and one newer image. So there we are. We're deep under the water. When I was living in the Caribbean, I got so I could hold my breath and go down 25 feet
Mhm.
and I barely made it back to the surface. Boy, was I glad. But, people learn how to hold their breath and go even deeper.
Hmm.
And if you are a diver with an air tank on your back, you can go pretty deep, but you still have to learn how to surface carefully so that you don't get what's called the bends, where
Right.
there become air bubbles in your bloodstream, and it can be fatal if it's not taken care of. So it's like, when we go this deep, we have to be careful about surfacing. And this whole process cannot be rushed. And Sedna's in Gemini, what was it? I had it on this into the mid 2060s. So
Wow. Yeah.
yeah. So
It's really amazing right now. And I do think we'll be going through Ascension for a very long time, but we're in a really accelerated point right now. So things are going to be tremendously amazing over the next few years. And in 2030, I think things will start to mellow a little bit, and
mm,
then things will start to move a little slower.
mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm,
these next several years are going to just be massive. But what we've done over just the last 6, 8 months, and especially over the last 3 weeks, is
mm,
huge because we've gotten to the point where we're through the portal. No one can go back into 3D or 4D,
mm,
and 3D and 4D don't exist anymore.
mm,
So it's a huge time for humanity.
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yes, and if you lean into this newness, you're moving on. And
you're
if
going
you're
to
not,
survive.
you'll just
Yeah.
be washed into the spiritual realm in a
Yeah.
kind of way. There we might have one more little chance when both Saturn and Neptune go back into Pisces in the fall, and
Hmm.
they'll shift again into the new year into Aries. But after that, we're moving onward. So, we have a little grace if we need it. But we're the winds are picking up and they're going to get pretty strong, and so it's going to catch the sail, and we're going to be moving through the waters with that fresh wind. So that's
Absolutely. Yeah.
it's exciting. It's very exciting. And that's one of the meanings of the planet Uranus. So when it changes sign and goes into Gemini, that's when the wind is really going to pick up speed. And
Hmm.
that's in July. And, we've got one more big change to go. And that has to do with Jupiter. We were looking at Jupiter for this, for the importance of it and this new moon. And this is just a few more weeks in Gemini, and then it's going to go into Cancer. And that's going to feel really, really good. So
Yeah.
we've got this new moon cycle starts with a very big change of Saturn saying, okay, we're on this new thing now, and brand new thing now. You ready to kind of be one of the inventors of the new path?
Hmm.
And who are you going to meet along the way? And then we also will have a Jupiter changing sign even before, let's see, the full moon is on June 11th. And by then, Jupiter will be in Cancer. So just having shifted. So that this is, we're this a new moon flowers on the full moon and kind of has its revelation,
Hmm.
and that's going to be this new information coming out and kind of changing how we're operating from this point forward.
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
this. It really is important to think about change and how you can go into it with joy and
Mhm.
gratefulness and anticipation. And that's why people have been exiting and they're doing great. You don't need to worry about anybody who's chosen to leave their body at this point. They're very happy and they're watching what we're doing now. And we become the show right? And we've been the show for a while.
Big drama.
Yeah,
Down here. Yeah.
but it's a game. I mean, we are in a learning game, and if you think about it, like you could be in a tournament. This is more like a tournament, and there are a lot of spectators in this tournament,
Mm,
and people are seeing and they're rooting for you, you know, and it's like a big chess tournament that we're playing. And we have our own perspective, and then we have the collective
mm.
perspective. And the collective finally allowed us to go through that portal. So I'm just so excited for the future of humanity right now. Yeah, it's a
Yeah, yeah,
perfect.
we've made it. This is a new, it's so new, it's brand new.
Yeah,
And if you can think about your life like that, take up the your paintbrush and, what do you want it to be? And we've had a lot of this year with figuring out what it is we really want. Now's the time
yeah,
to go for
totally. Now's the time to go for it.
it.
And it's gonna, as you have those things come up that your intuition is telling you to do, it's time to really lean into them at this point.
That's
Yeah.
Aries. You're moving forward. You want to make sure you're moving forward and you're not being pushed by the wind or,
Yeah.
or any resistance going on or being plucked, by the sleeve by somebody else. This is do your thing. And it's not being selfish. It's being
No.
clear about here I am. This is what I'm about. And it's time to be me and add your light and your fabulous, vibrancy and frequency to this time for all
Yeah.
of us. Be the star that you are.
Yes. Be the star that you are, because you are a star. And I think we're all realizing that now. There's so much that we have to offer, and it's just uncovering it from the little overlays, the little pieces that have been on top of it, you know. So maybe you're really the blue paper, and you've had the dark blue paper, and you've had to let go of all of these things in order to
Yeah,
really see yourself. And that's
yeah.
where we're going, is to really see who you truly are and enjoy being that,
Hmm.
and to
Part
operate
of
from that level.
part of the Saturn thing is shedding old identities that are covering the light.
Mm-hmm.
It's like all those overlays, the programming and role models and cultural and educational and religious, all this stuff that tells you who you are. And this is why that coming from the inside out, that's where the light is. And diving down to find that light and bring it back, it's like a pearl diver, you're
Yeah.
bringing something back that is your essence. That's a spiritual journey.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
That's what we're in, and it's beautiful. So
Yeah.
thank you, Kelley. This was amazing.
Oh,
So
so great.
I will have Kelley's stuff below in the description. And just just make sure you take a little time every day to go inside, you know, and think about who you are and the things that make you happy.
Yes.
Yeah, you deserve it.
That's your
It
major responsibility, in fact.
is. It is. And the universe loves you, and your guides are rooting for you. Your oversoul is rooting for you. You have so much backup to make sure that you're fine during this process. And I feel like the nervous system is starting to finally shift out of fear. So that's a really beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gemini has a lot to do with the nervous system,
that's
and there are a
good.
lot of
Yeah.
different layers of it. So remember to breathe deeply and just let that, kind of new breath of relaxation course through your body.
Hmm.
So,
Yep. we create our own reality. So let's make a beautiful reality for this new energy.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Kelley. Bye.